All right, hey everybody, Evan here from devascend.com. And in this video, we're going to go over reactive values in Svelte. So if we look at our code here, we're going to see hello name. If you remember from the last few videos, it's going to output our name at the end here. So if I say Evan, it's going to say hello Evan. But what if we wanted to output a full name? Well, I could type Billy Joel like this, but of course we're storing the full name of Billy Joel into our name variable. So let's go ahead and change that so we can store it in two different variables. So let's say let first name equal empty string and let last name equal empty strings. And so now we could go back down here and we could say first name and then curly braces last name. However, this looks a little bit redundant. There's actually a way we can clean this up so we only have to use one text modifier here. All right, so how do we do that? Well, actually first let's just clean up our code and remove what we're not using here. I'm going to remove handle input and increment counter and count. And I'm going to go ahead and remove our button here. I'm going to go ahead and remove these commented out elements here. So now let's go ahead and add another input, and we're going to have the first input be first name, and then we're going to have the second input be for last name. So as we might expect, we have two inputs here, one for first name, one for last name. I'm going to put some labels here so it's easier to see. And of course you see that it's giving us another yellow underline, which means we're missing something. We're actually missing the for attribute. So for, I'm just going to say first name, and I'm just going to copy this label here, and I'm going to put last name at the bottom here. So now if we look at our form here, we can see first name, last name very clearly. And now let's go ahead and incorporate our reactive variable. And I forgot to remove our reset name function here. All right, so now let's go ahead and create a reactive value. All we have to do is type a $, colon, and then the name of our reactive value. I'm going to call this full name. And now we're going to want to set this equal to the concatenation of our first and last name, so that way it shows our full name. So I'm going to use a template string here to concatenate these two strings right here. And inside here, we're going to do $, curly braces, first name, $, curly brace, last name. And now if we go in down here and change first name to our reactive value, which is full name. Now when we go ahead and go to our website, I'm going to type in Billy Joel, and you'll notice that it updated here when we modified either one of these inputs. So if I change Billy to Bobby Joel, it'll update the first part. And if I change the bottom one here to say Johnson, we see that it updated the end part here. So basically what reactive values are doing is they're saying if we change any one of these variables here, either our first name or our last name in this case, then go ahead and re-update this full name reactive value. So full name is going to update its value every time either one of the variables inside the reactive value is updated. So let's show another example of this. I'm going to type $, and then here we're going to want to console log. Let's just go ahead and console log last name. And now in theory, this should console log every time we update last name, because that is the variable that we're using inside of our reactive value. So let's go ahead and try that out. All right, so I'm going to open up the console here. All right, and so again, in our console, we should see our last name every time we update the last name value. So if I were to type Billy in the first name column, we're not going to see anything in the console. But if I type Joel in the last name, you can see every time we modify the last name value, it's going to console log it, because in our reactive value, we're saying every time last name updates, let's run this. And you can see for each letter that I typed, it ran that compute function. Now, one last thing, of course, you don't have to do just one line of code. You can actually run multiple lines of code. And the way you do this, just use curly braces here, and then just open it up like a function scope here. And then you can type as many lines as you want here. So again, this is going to run if I update either last name or first name in this case. And I can just prove that to you right now. Obviously, you can see there's a little space between these because Joel is actually empty. But if we typed Joel here, we're going to see now that every time we update either one of those properties, it's going to display that to the console. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments down below, or you can join the devascend Discord server and either myself or someone else will be able to help you out there. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.